Hey everyone, Andrew Van Leeuwen from Motorsport Network. Shane, does getting a nice bit of a win make you enjoy driving these cars anymore?
It's hard one, but again, as I said all weekend, got to thank the guys. They've done so much work trying to understand what the problem I've been having is with the steering in the car, and I drove out on the evaluation day or the wildcard test day, and the car was completely different. So we knew there was something to find. We think we've found it in the other car, so it'll be good tomorrow on the ride day to verify it. But it's been difficult couple of months, I guess. But I remembered how to drive this weekend. It feels like it's been difficult.
Do you feel vindicated by the fact that you did jump in a different chassis and the problem did go away? I wasn't just imagining this car doing something. It was doing something.
Not really. I knew since Darwin something's not right with the car. We just, we changed so much stuff between every session. My guys never gave up on it. They were always changing something. So now we think we know what it was, and hopefully tomorrow we confirm it in the other car.
You've made a couple of references to the penalty last night today. You obviously disagree that should have been a penalty or that the contact was worthy of any sort of infringement.
Yeah. I feel a bit like Newcastle, not wanting to say anything. If they had showed what went on the 5 laps before with the racing and what people got away with, it was awesome, but a lot more than what that last corner was. But I don't really know.
Just to the other two drivers, if you have looked at what happened, where do you think that sits in terms of being, acceptable or not acceptable contact, that front to rear contact?
I don't know. It's all in context, I guess, and it just depends what standard you're setting and what other things have been going on in the battle and so many different things. So I haven't really watched it, but it's all in context.
Yeah, pretty much what he said. I guess it depends if you're the guy that get pushed or the guy pushing, depends what position you're in, and generally determines how you feel afterwards. But it's all in context. If that's what's going on in the whole race, then that's what's going to the checker flag, that's fine. But if it's an isolated incident, it is. I'm not sure. I don't see all the incidents. So.
And you probably don't see all the racing that goes on throughout the field. Quite often you end up, Chaz moves people out of the way a lot as well, and a lot of drivers do it. So it's not just one person, it's just that camera's on that. So sometimes you screw people over, sometimes you get screwed over. So it's just the way it is.
Connor O'Brien, V8 Sleuth. Andre, 6 podiums now. Is it almost a sense of frustration that the win is sort of a bit of elusive?
Not really. It's we're obviously trying to win, but we're trying to get that consistency, which is the main thing. It's sort of eluded us. I've had poles and a win before. No, I'm not too stressed about it. It will come. We keep putting the car on the front row, and in the first couple of rows, the win will come eventually. Maybe when he stuffs off, it might be a bit easier. But it's all right. I'm not too stressed about it.
Dado, the chassis, was that any kind of lingering effect from Tassie when there was a crash, and will there be any temptation to keep Shane in this chassis now and move the wildcard guys into the other one?
We don't think it's a lingering. It's more of a little bit of a wear issue, and the parts being manufactured at the extent of their tolerances. So we don't want to have a chassis that you deem to be unfit. So tomorrow, as Shane said, we'll test it. And we think it'll have a clean bill of health. We were in the very, very fortunate position to have a chassis to be able to swap into. That was the only reason we did that, just belts and braces. We knew we couldn't roll out with even 0.5% of doubt in our mind. And given that we had the opportunity to roll out with a car that Shane did do a couple of laps in at the wildcard test, why wouldn't you do it?
So if it's good tomorrow, will Shane move back into the original one?
That's the initial plan, but we'll evaluate it tomorrow.
Anton, well done. The tyre life. Obviously, you came after Brock. Do you feel like that? Yeah, you've made some progress on that front.
Not sure. The car was obviously a lot better than yesterday. and the undercut worked on us for a few cars, and then was able just to keep the rear on it a couple laps longer than Brock, which got me here. So it's a pretty good feeling when you really know where on the Saturday you can turn it around, and we've done that a couple times this year. So I guess we'll look into that. We've got a few more base points of understanding the car for a couple different tracks now. So hopefully we can go to the next few ones and roll out a little bit stronger and then progress from there.
One for Shane, Rebecca Williams from News Corp. Jamie said on Friday that he would like an answer about your supercars future before you race in Indy next month. Are you in a position to shed any more light on your plans for 2024 at the moment?
Yeah, there's obviously a lot happening in the background, but yeah, like I'm not leaving because of this team. Like I love this team, and yeah, I want to. When I leave, I want to make sure that there's someone here to replace me that's going to do a good job in the car. You don't want to leave the team with nothing, scrambling to find someone. There are a lot of the good drivers here signed up, so yeah, I want to leave with the team in a good spot. So yeah, waiting to hopefully the team has someone soon.
Do you think you're going to be in a position to make a call and let everyone know before, in just a few weeks' time?
I don't have a timeline on it, yeah.
Craig Revell, Inside Supercars. Duddo, what's your pitch to keep him?
Shane's a teammate, and obviously we want him to stay, but we wouldn't ever think of running a guilt trip or anything to try and stop him from this next step. This is not leaving down pit lane. This is not going to your opposition. This is an amazing opportunity, and whichever way it goes, we'll be totally supportive.
Brad?
Hello.
The rubbing we've seen this weekend that has drawn some penalties, that wouldn't have happened in your day, would it?
Oh, there was a little bit of rubbing in my day. That was a long time ago. I can barely remember.
Well, now you're paying the bills, I guess you got a different view on it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What was your thoughts on what happened last night and the penalties?
Look, it's very difficult. Every position you're in is difficult. When you're driving the car and someone's rubbing you up, you get sick of it pretty quick. And then if you get a penalty when you do it back, yeah, it's tough to take. So I didn't see enough of it early on. And funnily enough, I was watching my own cars. So, but I totally get what Shane's saying. When someone treats you bad, you don't always just stand around and wait for it. So it's one of those things, and it's hard for the person making the call in the box to go, okay, well, this started 5 corners back. I mean, Beto does it sometimes, but it's a difficult call. Ben,
finally, what was your take on the cars, the Fords this weekend, and your cars in particular, with the changes?
Yeah, I think that the take on our cars is that it's such a really narrow working window. Like it's the smallest working window that we've probably ever seen, where the Mustang is at the moment. We've been fortunate enough to hit on it a couple of times over the last few rounds with Will in Darwin, Anton in Townsville, and then Anton again today. But it can go wrong so quickly for us at the moment. So it's such a small window for us to get the Mustang right at the moment.
Mark Fogarty, Speed Cafe Newscast. Shane, sorry, just to be very clear, it sounded to me what you said just then was that your preference, your plan is to switch full-time to NASCAR next year if you can without disrupting your team at the moment.
I don't know if I'll be full-time.
But, okay, but your intention is to switch to racing NASCAR in America if you can?
Yes.
Okay. And Ben, sorry, just further on the Mustang. Simple question. Is the Ford fixed?
No.
Why not?
How long have you got? It's... Yeah, we are back tomorrow. That's difficult to answer. I mean, there's been a few shining lights, but it's still not a lot of blue very high up on the leaderboard in quali or races at the moment. Why that is it probably alludes back to what I said before, it's a very small working window for where our car is at the moment, and you know, it's really hard to find.
Is there a plan? Do you know a plan to fix these things?
There's a lot going on. Plan-wise, we'll just have to wait and see.
Daniel Herrero from Speed Cafe. So, Shane, to be clear, you think at this point in time it's feasible for you to compete in supercars next year and do some more NASCAR than you had been doing?
No.
Okay. You said after qualifying that you agree with what Waters said. I presume you're referring to his radio comments. What exactly did you mean by that?
Oh, I don't need to say any more than that, do I? Like he said it. He made it pretty clear last night.
Chaz, to the drivers, Chaz said up here, we should really take the comments over the radio with a grain of salt. Do you agree with that? It's just the heat of the moment and red mist?
Yeah, but everyone knows people listen to the radio, so, I mean, it's only a select few drivers saying, you know, most of us are up here trying to make a living, and it's a few that are, you know, putting their foot in it and throwing the toys out of the cot. So, you know, it's, yeah. Obviously, in the heat of the moment, he got upset, but everyone knows that what got said on the radio goes on the telecast and can be recorded, whatever. That's why you generally try not to swear and, you know, have a hissy fit too much.
Yeah, I guess depends on the situation. I guess if you're in the battle and you're upset at something, that's one thing, but having a dig at the sport's probably not ideal. Because like Andre said, there's a lot of us that love the sport. We're happy to stick around in it. So yeah, but at the same time, I don't know what happened in his race too much. Obviously didn't go to his plan and was pretty upset. So it does hurt when you lose podiums and stuff, and everyone's got a different personality and they say react to things different. So I'm not sure. I don't hang out with him enough to know if that's a normal reaction.
Brad, is this the longest two-day meeting you've ever been to, considering you're going to be back here tomorrow with ride tests? So
I've got one
was
of
that
those
5 or
sleeping bags
6?
you had when you were a kid, you know, that does up around the neck with a zip. I'm going to sleep in the truck tonight. I mean, it's just crazy that I've been here for a week. But it's something that certainly supercars need to have a look at. The idea is for us to be able to turn up, pack everything down on the Friday, race Saturday, Sunday. I mean, the race meeting's been great. We've had some fantastic races, plenty of action, controversy, everything that we need. So we can do it in a 2-day period. But turning up here on a Wednesday or a Thursday because you can't put the trailer back down, there's got to be a better way. Whether we, you know, finish a couple of hours early and let the guys put their booms up and unpack on the Thursday night late or something, I don't know. But if we're all here, we may as well be running. You know, we should have had a run late Friday or Friday night or something. So yeah, it is the longest race meeting I've been to where we haven't done anything.
Brad, have you double-checked Andre's contract in case Shane tries to recruit him to ease his conscience next year over to AAA?
I didn't know Shane had a conscience. Besides, he's got the goat. He can always put him in for a year.
In last night's press conference, several drivers talked about racing on a Friday night. It would seem to me the best pressure that can be put on changing your formats comes from team owners, team managers and drivers. It seemed to me sort of pretty crazy to have the night race last night, but not one on Friday night. That seems something that pretty elementary to change.
Dutto, any thoughts on that, Dutto?
You got to look at how you're going to get fans out on a Friday. We don't go straight into racing, so because we're practicing and qualifying and then racing, that's a lot to sort of pack into a Friday, including the racing. And are you going to get the fans out to get the most of it? I agree that we should set up later, but I like the Saturday night. I thought the crowd and the atmosphere felt pretty good.
And we can't just do a one-day race meeting because we don't get enough people here to justify the expense everyone goes to make it happen. We just don't get the numbers. We don't get the TV numbers, and we don't get the numbers of people at the event. So it's got to be over 2 days. So, you know, for me, not that you asked me, but for me, I didn't think it was too bad. I don't think it was a problem mixing it up the way. It's the first time we've done something like this for a while, and I thought it was pretty good. But that's one of the great things about our sport. We unlike a lot of ball sports where they play exactly the same game every time they compete, we have a number of different options, and I think that makes it interesting for the people that follow us. One of the reasons I think that we're so popular at the moment is you turn up and you don't know who's going to win a race. So part of that is formats, and I think it's working out quite well currently. And I thought this was pretty good.
Speaking of formats then, for all of you, but particularly interested in the thoughts from BJR, a one-stop refuelling race, which is unusual. Do we like opening up the format like that?
You mean last night, us doing one stop? Well, we were sort of forced into that a little bit. We changed the rack after qualifying, and then it did another one in the race. And so to start with, we didn't know whether it was just not reacting as well as it did in the daytime on a full tank of fuel. But once things settled down, he had actually pretty good pace, and so we knew what the delta was to the next car to be in the race, which is, you know, around 45, 55 seconds, and that's, you know, we had 4 laps to go when we started. Well, once we were out of a podium position, we changed our strategy and went to that. So it's just unfortunately the safety car came out because I think it robbed everyone of a really good spectacle, maybe us of a podium. But look, it's you know, tie deg here is pretty hard, and I think it was probably a little bit softer than what everyone expected, knowing how these cars work rear tyres.
Shane, you're 54 points, I think, off the championship lead. I mean, if this is your last season here for now, if it is, I mean, how much would it mean to you to get another championship?
I don't know. I don't think like that. But I guess for us, it's been a massive battle the last few rounds. But I think every race for the last few rounds, bar yesterday, we've caught the championship leader. So it has been tough, but we've still been scoring a lot of points and, you know, round wins and stuff like that, whatever they mean. But it's been all right.
And for Indianapolis,
Yep.
do you expect the reception to be any different to Chicago? Will people be nicer, more? Yeah.
I think there'll certainly be a lot more expectation, but it's going to be difficult. Like, there's only 20 minutes practice or something at a track guys have been going to for the last 3 or 4 years. So it's going to be much tougher. I think where I was strong at Chicago, the last sector was where the walls were very close, something I'm used to. They're not. So, yeah, I expect it to be, I hope to still be competitive, but I don't expect to be the fastest. I think it's going to be a lot of people up front there. The Childress cars were very quick last year, which Brody's in, and I really hope he does well, so it helps more of us get opportunities to go over there. Like, I think some of the guys here are the best drivers and capable of doing it, so if he goes well, it'll lead to opportunities for everyone.
I think you're going to need a really strong rear bumper.
Oh, the bumpers there are crazy, yeah. Like, I had a massive crash in that big stack up and the thing was fine, so it's completely different, yeah.
One thing's for sure, they'll certainly know who you are.
Yeah. Yeah. Van Hamburger.
To Anton and Ben, you know, tough start to the year, but results now 3 consecutive rounds. Like, is there a bit of confidence building? Is that sort of results leading to more results, sort of, even if the Mustang isn't quite sort of exactly at the end of where it needs to get to?
Yeah, for sure. We started the year terribly. You know, the first 2 or 3 times that we ran the new cars, we had days that were just littered with issues, so we got no effective testing in. We turned that around and we sort of fixed our problems throughout the first few events. We had a really good test day in June, and I think since that test day then, you know, podium in Darwin for Will, Anton's win in Townsville, and then we've managed to do it again today. So some confidence, some, you know, the stuff's making sense now that we changed, and we're not having these issues that we had early on in the year.
Andrew Clark from Auto Action. Ben, you are the homologation team, which probably makes it sound like you do a bit more with the cars than you do. What is the process going forwards for you with relationship to Ford and getting the aero right?
Well, it's not just Ford, it's Supercars. They're involved in it as well. We'll just go back and, look at all the numbers, and, there'll probably be some communication between Ford and Supercars and us as a homologation team, and we'll just keep working at it and try and provide the best product that we can. If that's an improvement, then, we'll push hard for it to be improved and keep working.
But you don't do the design, somebody else will do that.
It's a cooperative project between Ford Performance, Dick Johnson Racing, and some other people, Supercars as well.
Ben, how happy is DJR and Ford with the communication from Supercars at the moment on this process?
Reasonably happy. It's not a battle from day to day. They're pretty open and receptive to all the communication and everything that's going on. They've obviously got a job and everything from the other side as well, the GM side, to keeping it even. But, they hear us and they work with us. I think that's been evidenced with some of the throttle body stuff that we've been able to do. But I think, the other side also got some map changes and some stuff going on for this weekend that I think improved their product that no one reported on. So, whilst it was all this talk about our throttle body, they got some improvements as well.
Shane Porgover. Have you started to put your mind with the NASCAR side of things to start thinking about ovals and stuff? And as a follow-up to that, Bradley, you were the king of Caller for a long time. I'm so old I can remember. Driving NASCARs and Oscars. How many? Anyway, have you got some advice for him, or
yeah,
how do you think
don't
you'll
stand in a no standing zone. I know he doesn't need my advice. I don't know if you watched Chicago, but he won.
No, we're talking about ovals. I'm
track.
talking about specifically about ovals. Have you started to think about it, Shane?
Not yet, no.
And Bradley, seeing as how you're nearly as old as me, and you seem to like to have an opinion. How would you rate this transition from an old model car to a new model car? We're living it at the moment. There's parity debates. Everybody's got a complaint about something. Is it actually worse than previous generational changes?
I think so much has changed. There's usually carryover. So we carry over engines for a lot of the time with cars in the past, and this is a very wholesale change. It's a lot less aero, and it's a very different engine, and more importantly, the engine configurations aren't the same. So I think the cars are close, but clearly Fords aren't quite where they need to be, and whether it's aero or engines, we're aware behind the scenes that Supercars are working really hard to try and help facilitate the opportunity to even the cars up a little bit more. But as you see, when the cars are right, they're fast. So, do they need more speed, or do they need it to be an easier car to tune? You certainly can't. It's difficult. It's a parity formula, but if you trigger the parity change after 5 or 8 events, then they're no longer equal, are they? Because you're going to give someone a hand. So it's really tricky. And so is it any worse than normal? No, we've been through some really shit times with this stuff, but we always come out the other side and get it sorted, and I'm comfortable that we'll do exactly that this time around.
All right, let's go to 2 more.
Dado, what are those improvements that Ben was just referring to?
Some engine mapping stuff that was scheduled to be rolled out for Darwin, but we delayed it. The category, delayed it, so that it gave teams more time and to make sure that the rollout was smoother. It tried to be rolled out during practice, but didn't go according to plan. So then it was rolled out this weekend.
And the cuts, do we know how the cuts compare now?
I'm not sure where they ended up.
Got no idea what they're running.
Yeah.
Just as a small point, Ben, you said before that the changes for the Camaro weren't reported. I'll put it on the record, that's because we hadn't been told.
Yeah, but hang on. You had been told. This is when they did their mapping, before Darwin, wasn't it, Dutto? Then we did the same thing and ran them on a rolling road, but ours just wasn't introduced because for whatever
I'm talking
reason.
about the media weren't told about this.
I read it in the media. I hang off your every word.
No.
For me, it's the first thing I do when I get up. Honestly, on a speed cafe, boom, got a point of view.
When
then
I'm
the
talking
sleuth.
about throttle bodies, mate.
I'm talking about everything. I just
Anyway, just clarifying.
We'll finish up with Connor.
One last for me, sorry. Dutto, what do you think about the vague potential that Jamie could come back to drive? He said that it's not out of total possibility that he could. What you probably worked with him longer than anyone as a driver. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's a good one, Shane. It's an awesome fallback. It's just like having the wild card this weekend to be able to give to Shane. We're in a fantastic position to have that as a backup plan. Is that our initial plan? No, it's not. It's one of those things. We've got to be careful. And I reminded Jamie when we've chatted about some of these things. He finished as the GOAT. If you come back and aren't strong, that puts a bit of a downer on your career, sort of thing. So. It's definitely not our first option, but it's a bloody good one. And he'll work super hard if it happens.
Just a little bit of clean-up then from me to end. You mentioned it's not full-time what you're hoping to go and do next year. Does that mean it's part-time, Shane?
I don't know yet. There's still a lot to work out.
And do you want to come in at the cup level now because that's where you've started, or would you like to do what Marcus did, drop down a few rungs and work your way up?
I have no idea, but when I study it, Marcus did 3 years before he went to Cup full-time. Montoya was pretty much a whole season as well. Like, no one's ever gone into Cup. And I have no illusion that those ovals are going to be easy. Like, it's going to take a lot of time to learn. So I don't have a plan yet. I'll hopefully work it out when I'm over there.
You probably can't answer this, but is it just Trackhouse that you're talking to, or do you have multiple
I can't
options?
answer that.
Sweet. Okay, thank you. Well done. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And see you next time.